Hi. I just watched your presentation on Peru. I thought you did a really good job. Gave me a lot of information about the area, and I thought it was great that you said you related a lot to the information. That's why you found it so interesting. It's great when you can study something that kind of hits home with you. And I thought it was really interesting that they are the largest source of gold in South America. I didn't realize that. I thought that it was more north of South America that the gold really was. So I didn't know that Peru was such a big producer in that, and also silver. So that was an interesting fact that you said. Also, something that's interesting is Peru. The information reminded me of something that I learned from my presentation on Uruguay. Was that in Uruguay they also had a council of ministers, just as you mentioned they have in Peru. And you mentioned that each of the ministers were in charge of different offices, like one was in charge of education, one was in charge of the Department of Public Health. And the same thing was happening in Uruguay around the same time. They called that the Colegiado, from what I learned in my presentation. That council of ministers, when each of them was in charge of a separate entity of the government, a special interest group, they called that the Colegiado. And that was, they actually started doing that because they were copying the Swiss government at the time, had just started implementing that, where they would have sort of more equal authority to the other members of the executive branch, like the president. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see where that came from. In Uruguay, it didn't work out so well, and they eventually went back to that strong single-party executive branch of the presidency, which I know you said that Peru did that eventually too. They went back to a strong presidency after that. So I guess it works better in theory than in actuality in both situations. I also looked up some interesting facts about Peru that you didn't mention. I thought they were pretty cool. I know you mentioned that a lot of different crops in Peru are very important, and I found out from one of the sources I looked at, they said that potatoes and tomatoes actually first originally came from Peru. So I'm wondering if that's true. I wonder if we can cross-reference that. But I thought that was pretty cool. And also, an interesting thing was some people, it hasn't been proven, but a lot of people think that the weeping willow tree first originated in Peru. And the root of the weeping willow tree is actually where they get aspirin. So they haven't confirmed that, but I think that's pretty cool if that's where originally it came from and they use it to make aspirin, because so many of us use it, so it's interesting to see how it affects us here. Let me see, and also two more things real quick too. I found out that the first newspaper ever in South America was created in Lima in 1825, so that's the first newspaper ever in South America. And also, one of the oldest universities ever in South America is in San Marcos, and that was made in 1551. So it's pretty cool to see the history. I know you mentioned there's a lot of history there, and you can definitely see that there's a lot of firsts there. So I really liked your presentation. I hope you liked mine too. See you later. Bye.